I was impressed with that move you pulled. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, it's G, it's DMC, the undefeated, undisputed YouTube champion. That's right, it's, hold up. It's the Maverick, Mark Daniels, here with the Survivor Series 2007 review. And what a pay-per-view was. I actually really enjoyed the pay-per-view. To me, from top to bottom, there really wasn't a bad match. Some people may disagree. They may say that the main event didn't really live up to their expectations. It ended a little weird. It had too much stuff going on, and we'll talk about all that when we get to it. But first, let's talk about the pre-show. I missed like 75% of the pre-show. I thought it was only going to be one match because at the time it was only announced for Enzo versus Kalisto. I tuned into it right when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out. I didn't realize they were having a match, and I didn't realize apparently Elias had a match with Matt Hardy. So I'm just going to quickly go over the results, and then I'll talk about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with their match with Breezango because that's the match I did see. But Enzo beat Kalisto. No surprise there. He's going to keep his title, keep the momentum rolling. Probably the best thing in the Cruiserweight division going is Enzo. So you got to keep him looking strong, keep him moving forward. I don't know what's next for him. They can continue the Kalisto thing. I hope not. They could have him go against Cedric Alexander. Maybe they'll bring someone else up. Maybe they'll use some of the UK guys. Maybe Pete Dunne, since he technically does have a win over Enzo, even though he is the UK champion as well. So maybe he won't do a title match with Pete Dunne. I don't know. And then we had Elias defeating Matt Hardy. And that's fine. Keeping Elias look strong. Poor Matt Hardy, though. But he knows what he's there for. And then we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come out. And this is when I tuned in. They cut a promo on Breezango. They said that these guys, they talk about solving crimes. And the only crime they should be solving is why Kevin and Sami aren't on Team SmackDown representing them for Survivor Series. And they keep going on and on about how they should lead the charge. Shane McMahon hates them, yada, yada. Then Breezango comes out. They interrupt their promo. And Kevin, actually before that, Kevin talks about this is the building won his first Intercontinental Championship, his first Universal Championship. Crowd pops for it. And he yells at the crowd saying, "No, these are my accomplishments, not yours. So shut up." It was great. Classic Kevin Owens stuff. Getting the crowd against him, even though they're cheering for him. It's what he does best. But then Breezango comes out. Sami Zayn says, "Hey, Kevin, look, it's the cops." And Fandango just kind of walks up to him and says, "What did you say, Paperboy?" Crowd starts chanting Paperboy. It was pretty funny. But the match was very quick, nothing special. It ends with Fandango going for the leg drop off the top. Kevin Owens pulls Sami Zayn out of the way, pulls him to the apron, tags himself in, hits a pop-up powerbomb on Fandango, which looked a little awkward because Fandango's a really tall dude, and wins the match. So Sami and Kevin wins their match on the pre-show. I've seen a lot of people upset that they're on the pre-show, but hey, it's to help further their storyline. They also interrupted in the main events. So obviously it's going to continue their feud between them and Shane McMahon. Let's see what happens next with them. I don't know. I would imagine these guys will eventually win the tag team titles. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, maybe they'll be going into WrestleMania. Maybe they'll win it at Mania. I don't know. But I would love to see them get a run with the tag titles. Then we had the first match of the night, which was the Shield versus the New Day. This match was awesome. Started off with the New Day coming out. They cut a promo. They make a lot of dog puns. Big E was talking about how they got big, dangly, and then he says, maybe in Kofi said guts. And he was like, it's PG. We can't say what we were going to say. But then they go into the match, and there was this great sequence between Xavier Woods and Roman. It ended with Xavier trying to go for a discus forearm, but Roman hits the Superman punch faster than he get the discus. But it got a 2 count, I believe. Then there was a Kingslayer knee and Dirty Deeds on Kofi. Xavier broke it up. Crowd at this point started to chant, "This is awesome," and it was awesome. Shield goes for the triple powerbomb. Big E pulls Roman out of the ring. And there was just a lot of, taking each other out of the ring, just throwing each other in the barricades and trying to get the one up on the other team. This was pretty cool. So Xavier picks Big E up in an electric chair position, which I know they just did that spot, but it's still very impressive seeing Xavier, who's a lot smaller than Big E, just put him on his shoulders like that. Kofi jumps over him and hits a splash, and then they slam Big E into him for a splash, and he gets a near fall. Then we got a double midnight hour. Big E picks up both Dean and Seth, and Kofi and Xavier jump off the turnbuckle to DDT them both for a double midnight hour. That was pretty impressive. Roman hits a spear on Big E to break up the pin, which was really cool. Again, more This Is Awesome chants. They pick each other up. Like the Shields picking each other up, and the New Day are picking each other up. Just look at each other across the ring, both just beat up after this, this nasty match. And then Kofi runs into a nasty spear. Roman goes to the top. They hit a super triple power bomb, and the Shield wins. Awesome match. I gave this 4.5 stars. This was a really fun match. Actually, might be my favorite match of the night. We'll talk about that when I rank which is my favorite to least favorite of the night. But again, there were no dud matches on the card, in my opinion. I think that there were a couple maybe average matches, but as far as like duds or just this was a really boring match, there really wasn't anything like that on the card, in my opinion. Like I said, I enjoyed the show from top to bottom. And then before the women's match, Stephanie pep talks the Raw women. Tells them, "Oh, hey, Asuka, Becky wants to break your arm. Why don't you go in there and break everything on her?" And just kind of hyping everybody up. So then we have the women's Survivor Series match. It was Team SmackDown, and representing Team SmackDown, you had Becky Lynch, Carmella, Naomi, Tamina, and Natalya. Natalya replacing Charlotte, which makes the most sense. And then you have Team Raw, which was represented by Asuka, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Alicia Fox, and Nia Jax. Tamina got new entrance music, so no more Tamina. I couldn't really get a good listen on it, but I mean, nothing could be worse than just saying her name over and over again. So that's kind of cool, I guess. They started off with the two leaders, Alicia Fox and Becky Lynch. Bayley gets an early tag and gets a roll up and hits a schoolgirl on Becky for a quick elimination. Crowd booed heavily. They did not want to see Becky. Eliminated that quickly. And then quickly after that, there was a super kick by Carmella, and Tamina hits a splash on Bayley, and Bayley is eliminated. Then Nia comes in. They have a stare down with Tamina, of course. They are relatives. I believe they're cousins. They're cousins with everybody, so I don't know. And then Tamina goes after one of their teammates, and Nia goes after one of her teammates. And then they stare down again. They just kind of start fighting around. It was kind of, I guess, the Battle of the Giants, even though Tamina has never looked as strong ever in her entire career. But then Tamina and Nia are brawling outside, and Nia gets eliminated by countout. So I awarded this point to Tamina because after the Survivor Series match, I'll talk about who got how many eliminations. So Tamina with another elimination on Nia, since technically they were the legal people in the ring, and she's the one that eliminated Nia outside. She was fighting her, so I'm going to say she gets the elimination there. Then back into the ring, we have Alicia Fox. She goes for a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Naomi reversed it into a roll-up pin. So Naomi eliminates Alicia Fox. So at this point, SmackDown has gotten 3 eliminations, and Raw's only gotten 1. Then Sasha Banks comes in quickly, locks in the bank statement on Naomi. So this was a little bit of a botch. So when Naomi hit that roll-up pin, it was kind of like a powerbomb position, I guess. I don't really know what to call that. And goes for the pin, hits the 3 count, and then she switches it to the Anaconda Vice, and the referee's like, "Hey, get off! You already eliminated her. She's out of the match." Sasha Banks sneaks in, hits the bank statement on Naomi. Naomi taps out, so Sasha eliminates her. Then Carmella and Asuka in the ring. Carmella slaps Asuka in the face a couple times. The crowd just goes ooh. And Asuka just starts doing all kinds of strikes on her and kicks her head off and eliminates her. Sasha walks in the bank statement on Natalya. Natalya is yelling at Tamina to save her, which was pretty funny, which she does. Then Natalya locks in the sharpshooter, and Tamina knocks Asuka off the apron, and Sasha taps out. So at this point, Asuka is the lone survivor. Tamina goes for the Superfly Splash, misses. Asuka gets a rolling arm lock on the Tamina. Tamina taps out. Natalya goes to the sharpshooter. Asuka quickly reverses into a knee bar, and then Asuka hits kind of like a full Nelson bomb, kind of like the Bubba Bomb Bubba Dudley used to hit, right into an Asuka lock, and Natalya taps out. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the last bit probably more than I enjoyed any of it. Seeing Asuka be the sole survivor, which is what I wanted to see happen in my predictions, is what I said would happen. It was a smart thing to do. The right person got the win there. The right person got to get the eliminations to look strong, because Asuka needed this. She wasn't getting much of a reaction once her debut happened. People just weren't into her, I guess, or she just didn't look that dominant yet. And now she finally got that big moment. Hopefully this helps with the reaction and people's reception of her. I'm a big fan of Asuka, and I think that obviously Asuka is the future of the Raw division. And will probably lose her undefeated streak, I would imagine, maybe at Mania. I don't know against who, but I would like to see it probably happen at Mania, unless you're going to keep it going for a whole another year and build someone else up. I don't think they'll do that. But Asuka is definitely a special attraction. You want to keep her that way. But I gave it 2.5 stars. I thought it was an average match, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it overall. I can't really complain about it. Again, There was some botchiness in the match, which is fine. I usually don't take away too much from it unless it's just overly bearing botching. A lot of quick eliminations. The quick elimination on Becky kind of sucked. If that didn't happen, maybe if Becky got a little bit more offense and that was like stretched out a little bit longer, maybe it would have made it to a 3-star, maybe a 3.25. But overall, I just think a 2.5 is fitting for this match. And honestly, probably the weakest match on the card, which, again, saying that isn't really a bad thing because I enjoy this match. If this is the worst match on the card, we're doing pretty good. So this is the list of eliminations. Becky got 0 eliminations. Carmella got 0. Alicia Fox got 0. Nia Jax got 0, which is interesting. Sasha Banks got 1. Naomi got 1. Bayley got 1. Natalya got 1. Tamina got 2, if you count the count out on Nia, which I do. And Asuka got 3 eliminations in this match. Then we go backstage. Stephanie is again backstage, and she's with Daniel Bryan. She's kind of bragging about them winning. And they kind of talk back and forth. And Stephanie asked Daniel, so how did you get John Cena on your team? She's like, is it because Kurt didn't ask him, or is it because he's your brother-in-law? I kind of forgot about that. And she was just like, nepotism at its best. And Daniel says, nepotism? Coming from you? Did you just put your husband in the match? She's like, no, I put the game Triple H in the match. And he says, oh, the game? You mean the same game I beat at Mania and went on to main event WrestleMania, which is pretty funny. And then Stephanie kind of goes on and basically says, you should be happy. If Shane gets destroyed, SmackDown's kind of yours. And I'm paraphrasing because she said something else similar to this. But she basically said Daniel would get full control of SmackDown, so think about that. So the camera kind of pans out with Daniel Bryan kind of thinking about that. Kind of maybe teasing that Daniel will maybe screw them over. I don't know. Then, which actually, if you think about it, could lead to maybe Daniel Bryan pushing for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to interrupt in that match. I don't know. Maybe we'll see some more of that on SmackDown. Then we have Baron Corbin versus The Miz, and surprisingly, a pretty good match. Probably Baron's best match to date, and a really good, solid Miz match, which was interesting. I didn't really expect it to be as good as it was. Not that it was like a barn burner, but it was a fun match. Reese was there. Miz kissed her, and then as the match was going on, I believe Baron blew a kiss to her and went up to her and says, "This is what a real man looks like," which was really funny. Then the crowd was split down the middle. They were chanting for "Let's go Corbin, let's go Miz." It was cool. You don't really hear that too often with either of these guys. During the match, Corbin slid out, punched Axel right into the neck brace, which was pretty nasty. Threw Bo into the ring, hit the end of days. Went for the end of days on Miz. Miz kind of flipped out of it, kicked him in the knee, hit a DDT for a near fall. Miz does the it kicks, goes for the Daniel Bryan drop kicks, hits him with a drop kick, runs back, but runs straight into an end of days for the 1-2-3. And then afterwards, Baron cut a pretty good promo. He said, "Miz, my hand went up and your mouth went closed. And all you people here and at home, I just closed your mouths too." And just dropped the mic and leaves. It was pretty good. Crowd booed him heavily for that, which is good. Getting some good heat there. I had a good match. It was a good match. It was above average. I gave it 3 stars. I really enjoyed this match. It exceeded my expectations. I kind of expected this to be a boring match. In fact, as Baron Corbin came out to the ring, I went and got some food out of the kitchen, came back. Miz was still coming out. That's when I saw him kiss Marie. So if anything happened before that, honestly, didn't see it. But I would imagine I didn't miss anything. This was kind of my piss break, honestly, before the match started. But it was a good match. It surprised me. It took me by surprise, and I enjoyed this match. Like I said, 3 stars. Then we have The Bar versus the Usos. Another fantastic match. And the Usos came out kind of promo. This is great. I love their promo style, and they talk about and mock them about being the bar, and they're like, "If you're the bar, that makes us bartenders, because to order drinks you have to go through us first. We the bar, that must make us pole vaulters, because we have to jump clean over that bar." And they just kept going on and on. They kept talking about other bars and anything that's related to bars. It was pretty good stuff. Really good promo. Some kind of things in this match that I enjoy, the spots in the match that I enjoy. There's a fireman carry into a super kick on a Cesaro from the Usos, which was pretty cool. Cesaro swinging to the sharpshooter on Jey Uso, and then a bro kick on Jimmy. This looked like this may be the end of the match. He kept the sharpshooter locked in. Uso was trying to fight to the ropes, and he finally did make it to the ropes. But when he does, Sheamus kicks him right in the face with his knee. I guess not really kicking him with the knee, but knees him right in the face. And then he goes for double white noise on Jey. Cesaro does like a springboard onto the white noise from Sheamus, and Sheamus gets a 2 count because Jimmy breaks it up. Cesaro went for a power bomb on Sheamus. He went for a power bomb, but Sheamus was on the top turnbuckle. Uso, I'm not sure which Uso it was, but he puts actually it was Jey Uso, puts Sheamus on his shoulders, and Cesaro went for the powerbomb. So he Samoan dropped Sheamus while he got powerbombed, which was a fun spot. Jimmy at this point came in, he super kicked Cesaro. Usos go for a double super kick on Sheamus. Cesaro pushed him out of the way, took the brunt of the double super kick, taking the bullet form, so to speak. And then Usos hit a bunch of super kicks on Sheamus to the point, I think it was even Byron that said something about a super kick party. You know, big shout out to the Young Bucks. Uso went for a suicide dive on Cesaro, and when he did, he tagged the other Uso. I forget who's who sometimes. It's hard to tell. And then he comes in and hits the Uso splash on Sheamus for the win. This is a very fun match. I gave it 4.25 stars. Charlie interviews Jason Jordan. The crowd booed immediately. He says he feels terrible that he'll never get to compete with his father, Kurt. But if anything goes down, he'll be ready to go. Heavily hinting that he would either attack somebody or someone would get hurt from someone else. He would join the match or he would interrupt the match in some way, which he never did. Just to make sure I got this right, because I said 4.25 stars on the match, which is what I ranked it. During the Shield match, I ranked it a 4.5 stars, 4.5 stars. I want to make sure I get that right. So 4.5 stars on the Shield versus the New Day, and then the Usos versus the Bar, you get 4.25. So far, 2 4-star matches, which speaks volumes of this show. Then we had the Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss match, women's champion versus women's champion. Crowd was split between down the middle for these two. Alexa hit a code red in the match for a 2 count. Charlotte hit a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. And she hit the natural selection, which we haven't seen her hit in a long time, it feels like, for a 2 count. Charlotte missed a moonsault. Bliss covered her for a 2 count. So during this match, she's kind of working the ribs a little bit. Alexa hit a big form. I guess the big form is part of her repertoire now. And it hits a DDT for a 2 count. Charlotte hit a spear. I think it was also for a 2 count. Charlotte hit a big boot, then a figure 8, and then Alexa tapped out. I give it 2.75. I thought it was slightly above average. I enjoyed the match overall. But one thing I think maybe hurt this match a little bit, maybe because the crowd, you could tell the crowd was starting to die out a little bit. Because they were into the match. The crowd was into the match, but then they just kind of died down. I think that's because there's just too many 2 counts, too many near falls. They should have just brought that back down just a little bit. Maybe have some 1 counts in there before all those 2 counts. I don't know. But I think it just kind of wore the crowd out a little too early. So that's just a criticism on my part. But I get a 2.75. I think that's pretty accurate for this. It was above average. I thought the Miz versus Corbin match was better. But this was a fun match too. And then we had AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. Now, I told you guys in my predictions that I was not going to come into this match with high expectations because I've done them the last couple Brock Lesnar matches and was heavily disappointed. My expectations were really low for this match. And I'm glad it was because this match blew me away. It was a great match. This just goes to show you how great of a performer AJ Styles is. You know, just in a couple weeks, he gives Jinder Mahal easily his best match of all time. And then he gives Brock his best match he's had in probably a year or two, especially if you're counting singles matches. He hasn't had a good singles match in a while, it feels like. Now, I did enjoy Goldberg versus Brock at Mania, but it was very quick. It was just a bunch of spots, and then it was a match. It was just a giant car wreck. But this was awesome. This was a straight up wrestling match, and I enjoyed every bit of it. The crowd was super hot for AJ Styles, and before the match even started, he had the crowd split with AJ Styles' Suplex City chants, which is great. Brock got pretty much all the offense early, and it was just looking at this point. It looked like a typical Brock match. I'm like, of course, hitting suplex after suplex on AJ. AJ just getting dismantled, just selling hardcore. And then Brock is just bouncing up and down and yelling, AJ, come on, fight me. And then AJ finally gets a few punches in, but then Brock just knees him right into the gut and just goes back to town on him. Then, at this point, Brock makes a mistake. He does a running knee into the turnbuckle, which was great, and he missed. So he starts hurting, his knee starts getting hurt. At this point, AJ takes out the other knee with a drop kick and starts working on the hamstrings with kicks, starting to size him down, starting to break down the beast, which is the perfect way to structure a match like this to make it seem, I wouldn't say credible, but make it look realistic. And then AJ hits a springboard moonsault. Brock catches him, but almost lost him. Backs all the way up across the ring into the ropes, but still has him. Very impressive spot. And then he goes to throw maybe a snake eyes on the turnbuckle. AJ gets out of the way, pushes him into the turnbuckle. Then he hit a springboard moonsault and a springboard 450 on a Brock for a 2 count. And then AJ locks in the calf crusher, and Brock just is selling it so good. Brock selling is very underrated. I thought he did a hell of a job in this match. And he's just selling the calf crusher. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. At this point, I actually thought maybe AJ had a chance, even though I knew there was no chance. But for a minute, like I'm just like, wow, AJ might be able to win this, which is just the mark of a true professional from both of these guys. It takes two. I can't give all the credit to AJ, but Brock definitely showed up in this match too. But the way Brock gets out of this was awesome. He grabs AJ's head while he's in the crab crusher, just starts slamming the shit out of him into the man of the crowd. At this point, he's chanting, "This is awesome," which it was. AJ hit the phenomenal forearm for a 2 count. He hits, like Enziguri and a few other things, and he gets ready for another phenomenal forearm. And then, of course, a lot of people predicted this ending, myself included. But that doesn't mean it wasn't awesome nonetheless. AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm. Brock catches him, and before he hits the F5, and I really appreciate this. Now, I don't know. People said that maybe Brock tweaked his knee. I think he was just selling, and I think he was just selling tremendously. But even though we caught Brock, caught AJ, he was still selling the knee. Almost like his knee gave out. Hits the F5, wins the match 1, 2, 3. And Brock was selling his knee, as he was sitting there. And then he sells his knee as he's going up the ramp. And I thought that was awesome. Really great match. Love the psychology behind it. Love Brock selling his knee, man. That was great. I don't know if that was something that AJ came up with or if Brock... Because Brock's always been a good seller. I've always enjoyed his way he sells. He just doesn't sell a lot, which is good. He shouldn't sell a lot. The guy's a monster. But I give this match also 4.5 stars. Maybe I would have ranked it a little bit higher. I don't know. Maybe if AJ would have kicked out of one like F5 and it was just that, oh my god. And then he hits like the Styles Clash. I don't know why I was blanking on that for a minute. Maybe if he hit the Styles Clash, it got a 2 count. I don't like a 2 and like 2 9/10, just barely, and just to get that blood pumping even more. Maybe I would have ranked it a little bit higher, but didn't need it though. This match was great. Easily Brock's my favorite Brock match this year. AJ just continuously just doing tremendous things in that ring, phenomenal things, if you will. And if he does face Shinsuke at Mania, I'm looking forward to it. I didn't mention this, but during the pre-show and before this match, Jinder Mahal approached him and was basically saying, "I can't wait for my title match." And I know it was they played a graphic of him saying that he's rooting for AJ before this match. He's rooting for AJ, but he wants AJ to get destroyed by Brock. So I'm sure he's happy about the result of this match. But it was a good match. I really enjoyed it. Then we had the main event of the evening, probably the most controversial match of the night. People were on the fence. Some people really, really liked this match. Some people just hated this match, the way it ended, the way it became the Triple H show. I overall enjoyed this match. There was a lot of cool spots in this match, and we'll talk about that. It was the Team SmackDown versus Team Raw men's match. Now, I thought SmackDown was going to win. I thought if you had Brock beat AJ, which he did, you could have SmackDown win this match to make them look strong as well. That way everyone still looks strong, and SmackDown does win overall, as far as 4-3, but SmackDown still has the more credible, I guess, world champion because their champion beat SmackDown's champion. But that's all right. It is what it is. It does make SmackDown look like the B show. So that was their goal accomplished. But it was Team Raw, which was Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, Kurt Angle, and Triple H. 2 of the 5 best Shield members of all time, Kurt Angle and Triple H. Versus Team SmackDown, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Shane McMahon. This was very subtle, but I thought it was pretty funny. While they were waiting for SmackDown guys to come down, Triple H 2 sweets Finn Balor. I thought that was funny. Shinsuke was wearing blue, and he was very, very over. Crowd booed before Cena came up, but then they popped when his music started, which was kind of funny. Shane McMahon starts by attacking Braun from behind. Braun just throws him across the ring, and Shane just oh shit, what did I just do? Triple H was just smiling ear to ear. Samoa Joe and Randy Orton both tag in. They come in, they start chain wrestling a little bit. One thing I thought was weird, didn't Kurt say he was going to start for his team, and he challenged Shane to start for his team as well? That didn't happen. Just going to throw that one out there. Anyways, Joe and Orton, they go kind of toe-to-toe each other. They stand up, the crowd pops. Finn comes in. And then the crowd starts chanting for Nakamura. Randy just kind of looks around, tags in Nakamura. And then the crowd starts chanting NXT. They go in there. They start doing some chain wrestling, which was great. Shinsuke does the head bob thing. I call it the loosey-goosey. I don't know what to call it. Head thing. Finn Balor quickly reverses it. And then he 2 sweeps him on the forehead. It was pretty funny. And then they go back to some chain wrestling. Then Triple H wants in. And Shinsuke smiles ear to ear. The crowd wants Bobby Roode to come in, but Nakamura stays in. And he tells Triple H to come on. And then the crowd starts chanting for Nakamura and Triple H. It's kind of a split between. Nakamura tags Bobby Roode in. The crowd starts chanting Roode. They start shoving each other. Roode goes for a glorious taunt. Triple H punches him. Bobby gets him off as Triple H hits the spine buster. Then he starts doing the glorious thing, but then ends it with a suck it. Crowd goes for it. And then he runs into a spine buster by Bobby Roode, and then Bobby Roode does the glorious thing. So all this stuff, as this was going on, I loved it. This was the fun part of the match that I really, really enjoyed. Angle tagged in. Angle went for an angle slam on Bobby. Bobby reversed into an arm drag, which was great. They double clothesline each other. Shinsuke comes back in, cleans the house, just knocking everybody down. Hits a Kinshasa on Triple H, but Braun gets tagged in. And at this point, Braun got knocked down by Shinsuke. You can just tell he was pissed. You knew what Shinsuke's fate was, which sucks, because I picked him to be, him and Cena are going to be my two lone survivors on Team SmackDown for the win, and I was way off. But that's okay. Braun hits the power slam. Shinsuke's eliminated. Then Bobby Roode comes in. They botch the spot, and Braun just angrily just picks Bobby up and eliminates him with a power slam. Joe tags himself in, and Braun and him kind of get into a shoving contest. Then Angle and Triple H get involved, and they start arguing with each other. Randy pushes them all into each other. Randy and Cena get into the ring. Strowman comes in. They start double teaming Strowman. They start fighting. Cena tries to go for an attitude adjustment. Strowman gets out of it. Randy goes for an RKO, and he gets shoved away by Strowman. They go to the outside. Braun gets an announcer table ready to throw somebody through it. But then all of Team SmackDown, including Bobby and Shinsuke, who were already eliminated, suplex him through the table, which was pretty fun. Then Shane goes to the top as if he was going to go for an elbow drop, but then Samoa Joe gets up, hits him with a belly-to-belly. Cena comes in, Uranagi on Cena by Joe. Finn comes in, but then Joe tags himself back in. They start arguing, so they're starting to fall apart a little bit. Cena hits an attitude adjustment on Samoa Joe, hits one on Finn Balor, picks Samoa Joe back up, and hits another attitude adjustment on Joe, and Cena eliminates Samoa Joe. So then Angle comes in, and they kind of do a little bit of flashback of when Cena first debuted, and they kind of do some chain wrestling a little bit. Cena goes for a five knuckle shuffle. Angle immediately grabs him and puts him in an ankle lock, which was fun. And then ultimately, Angle hits an angle slam. Shane breaks up the pin at 2. Finn Balor hits the coup de grace on Cena, and Cena gets hit with yet another angle slam, and Angle eliminates John Cena. Finn Balor hits a shotgun dropkick into Shane onto the barricade, which was cool. Finn went for the coup de grace on Randy Orton. Randy Orton rolls out of the way. Randy hits an RKO, eliminated Finn Balor. So this is when the match starts to come to a close and things kind of get a little shaky. So Triple H comes in. Angle's on the top rope. Randy pushes Triple H into him because they're arguing with each other. Randy goes to tag Shane. Kevin and Sami come out and attack Shane. And then Shane gets a metal chair, starts whooping up on him. Randy RKOs Kevin Owens. Braun Strowman comes back in. Power slams Randy Orton, eliminated him. So now Shane is the sole survivor. Gets 3 Team Raw members, that being Braun Strowman, Kurt Angle, and Triple H. Crowd starts chanting, starts counting, as if the referee was supposed to be counting, which he should have been, but he wasn't. Shane's taking his sweet-ass time to get into the ring. Triple H tags himself in, and then Kurt tags himself in, and him and Triple H kind of argue a little bit. At this point, the crowd kind of deflates. You know, they realize that Shane is the last man standing for SmackDown, which most people didn't even want Shane in the match to begin with, and they didn't even care about the whole building between Triple H, Angle, and Shane. They didn't care about any of that. Shane took advantage of Kurt and attacks him, rolls him up, doesn't get it. Kurt ends up hitting the angle slam, locks in the ankle lock. Triple H comes in and pedigrees Kurt Angle. Kind of stare down Braun Strowman a little bit. They're kind of looking at each other. Kurt Angle, Triple H grabs and drags Shane over to Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle gets eliminated by Shane McMahon. So then Triple H is kind of standing there. He's still staring down Braun Strowman. He's starting to slowly pick up Shane, teasing that he's helping Shane win. And as everything gets serious, then he kind of turns to Shane, pedigrees him, and then he just kind of gives this big, goofy, trolly smile on his face, like, come on. And then he pins Shane McMahon 1, 2, 3. I actually legit started laughing at that. And then, so Triple H and Braun win. They're the sole survivors for Team Raw. Triple H raises Braun's hand. Braun looks pissed. He is angry that Triple H eliminated Kurt Angle, for 1. 2, took all the glory for himself. And he keeps raising Triple H's hand, and Braun he says, you know what? He grabs him by the throat, puts him into the turnbuckle, and you can just see there's like they cut to Triple H, and they only do it for a second, but it's going to be a meme. You're going to see it everywhere. I'm sure you've already saw it. Of him just choking the shit out of Triple H, and Triple H's eyes are red, as like he's freaking out, like he's about to die. And And then Braun Strowman, he yells at him. He says, "If you ever cross me again, you'll never play this game again." And Braun starts walking off. Triple H goes over, tries to pedigree him. Braun reverses, hit the power slam. Crowd starts chanting for one more time. Braun picks him up, hits him with one more power slam. It was overall, the match itself I thought was a lot of fun. I enjoyed a lot of the beginning stuff of people tagging in, the stare downs, the matchups we've never seen before. They've always kind of been dream matches. I mean, to a certain degree, we've seen Shinsuke and Finn in Japan, but that's a match that people want to see in WWE. Then you get, of course, the Triple H and Bobby Roode stuff was awesome. But as the match progressed, it got a little messy. There was a few botches in there. But overall, I gave it a 3.75. I did enjoy this match overall. I had fun watching it. This match was to make Braun Strowman look strong, which they did. It also was used to ignite the feud between Triple H and Kurt Angle, which is what it did. And I knew that's what was going to happen. And this also continues the stuff between Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Shane McMahon. Whether or not Daniel Bryan's involved with that, we don't know yet. We'll figure that all out on SmackDown or the weeks to come past SmackDown, whatever happens next. But I'm excited to see what happens next. We don't know it's going to be Triple H and Angle at Mania. That's fine. That should be a solid match. Maybe we'll see Triple H and Braun Strowman at the Royal Rumble. Maybe we'll see them at Roadblock or there's Roadblock in the Fastlane, whatever pay-per-view they have in between, because they change them. Sometimes they give us both, whatever. Maybe we'll see a match between Triple H and Braun. We still got to see what happens between Braun and Kane. That's still going on. It's a little confusing. I think we'll see a Braun Strowman Kane Buried Alive match, and then maybe a Triple H Braun Strowman thing. Maybe this also begins a feud between Braun Strowman and the Authority back again. Maybe Braun Strowman is the babyface that topples over all of them, and then Triple H has to bring in Brock Lesnar to try and stop him. And we set up a Universal title match between Braun and Brock Lesnar at Mania. That'd be good. I know that we've already seen it, and people think it's going to be Roman versus Brock, but maybe they decide to change it since Braun is super over right now, and I think Braun, now's as good a time as ever to pull the trigger with Braun. So I think I would like that. I would like to see that rematch. I would like to see Braun beat Brock for the Universal title. So with the eliminations, Shinsuke had 0, Bobby had 0, Joe had 0, Finn had 0. So, all the newer guys, besides Braun, got 0 eliminations. I know that's going to trigger a lot of people. Cena had 1 elimination. Shane McMahon had 1 elimination, even though it was handed to him by Triple H. Angle had 1 elimination. Triple H had 1 elimination. Braun Strowman had 3 eliminations. So a big moment for Braun Strowman. Not that he needs it, because the guy is a star already. So those were the matches. There were 7 matches on the actual card. There were some pre-show matches. I'm not going to rank the pre-show matches or take into consideration my top 7, because there's only 7 matches on the card. So in 7th place, you have the Women's Survivor Series match, which was a 2.5 for me. You have Alexa versus Charlotte, which I gave a 2.75 at 6th place. 5th place is Miz versus Corbin, which I gave a 3. Then the 4th place was the Men's Survivor Series match, which was a 3.75. Then we had the Usos versus The Bar, which I gave 4.25, which was 3rd favorite match of the night. AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, 4.5 stars, was my 2nd favorite match of the night. It was really close between that and the Shield and New Day match. But man, I really enjoyed the Shield and New Day match a lot, and I knew I would. And I gave that one 4.5 stars as well. So honestly, 3 matches over 4 stars for me makes this one hell of a pay-per-view. I mean, even if this match was full of like 3 stars, 3.5 stars, it would have been a good pay-per-view, because that's above average, right? That's what you want. You want at least above average matches. I really think that this is one of the strongest pay-per-views they've had all year. This was a really fun show. And every match I said was at least average or better. And that is what you want. I mean, you got to have some matches that are going to fill in some, in between some of the big matches to kind of calm everything down. It's going to be average matches, and that's fine. Unfortunately, it was the women's matches this time around, but I still enjoyed those matches. It wasn't that they sucked, because they didn't. I thought they were good. So I gave this Survivor Series 2017 an overall grade of an A. Just a good solid A, not an A+. Maybe if there's one more, maybe if the men's Survivor Series match would have went just a little bit differently. Maybe if it wasn't so messy, maybe there was, maybe if SmackDown would have won, maybe it was exactly what I wanted, maybe I'd give it an A+. But I give it an A overall. Just a really good show. I really enjoy, like I said, the Shield versus New Day match, AJ Styles versus Brock, Usos versus The Bar, all fantastic matches. So if you haven't seen Survivor Series, I recommend watching at least those 3 matches. The other matches you can probably skip and be fine. But those other matches were really good too. And surprisingly, Miz and Corbin, definitely, to me, probably Corbin's best match yet. I don't know, him versus AJ was really good too. Which another match that AJ had with someone recently that was a really good match. So, anyways, guys, those are my Survivor Series review. Let me know how you guys enjoyed the show. Did you guys like the show? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys hate the main event? Do you hate that it's the Triple H show yet again, even though he got his comeuppance from Braun Strowman? Triple H gave a lot to some of the other guys during the match, and wasn't extremely dominant throughout the entire match, but did have the last laugh, so to speak, in a very heelish manner. Maybe to the point where you want to see him get beat up. I don't know. I would assume that's the goal that they want to do. And again, the thing about Triple H, burying people or whatever, for a guy who is regarded as this guy that just buries everyone, he has the worst record at WrestleMania. The worst. He has the worst record. I believe, what is it, 13 losses, 14 losses? I don't remember. It's ridiculous, though. In fact, I can Google it real quick. Who has the most losses in WrestleMania history? Just a quick little look-ski. Most wins. Most losses. Triple H has 11 losses at WrestleMania. Maybe it's 17 matches total, but he has 11 losses. It's something like that. But he does have 11 WrestleMania losses so far. So he's probably going to make it number 12 when he goes against Kurt Angle, because I wouldn't imagine him being Kurt Angle. And even if he did, I don't really. Who cares? It's not like they're going to do anything with these guys anyways. They're both older guys. Kurt Angle's definitely, this has to be his last year. People still chant, you still got it at him. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, he seems a little off in the ring still. And it's just time. It's just time to hang up the boots, and it's fine. Everyone gets that point at some point. AJ Styles did an interview recently that says he's looking at retiring in the next couple years, and I definitely believe that. I've been saying that for a while. AJ Styles had a great time in the WWE. It's been short, but it's been good. And we don't know how long he's got left in the WWE. Maybe it is 2 more years. Maybe it's 3 more years. Who knows? The guy still goes very well. He's still, to me, the best performer in WWE, if not the whole world. I think he's the best performer in the world today. Some people would argue Kenny Omega. Some people would argue Okada. I think it's AJ Styles. I would put Kenny Omega at number 2, and then maybe I would probably go Shinsuke than Okada. But I know a lot of people love Okada. I think Okada's great, but I don't think he's quite. I like Shinsuke more than I do Okada personally. But anywho, I'm not here to argue that. But I'm going to say, once again, I enjoyed the show. And until next time, guys, I am the Maverick Mark Daniels. Bidding you a farewell. Peace and one love. Bang!